masterclass. All right, I can see quite a number of people on the call. Let's share my screen. All right, so this masterclass is going to be on, the core skills and competences of a project manager and also a business analyst, as well as, the career opportunities that are available for each of these roles. Now, just before we start the session, I want us to take a moment to invite people we think can benefit from this session in any way. So invite your colleague, invite your husband, invite your wife, invite your friend, invite your sister, anybody that would benefit or is trying to get into project management or business analysis, but doesn't know where to start or doesn't even exactly know the career opportunities that are in the job market. All right, so let's share the link to this session with everyone and try to get them on the call. Now, I'll introduce myself in a bit, but I want to get to know you first. Okay, so please put in the chat box, where you're joining us from, your name and where you're joining us from. So I'll be looking in the chat box. Let's try to keep this session very engaging. So put your name and where you're joining us from in the chat box. Everyone is quiet. Are we still typing? Okay, I can see Adedayo from the UK. All right, fantastic. Welcome, Adedayo. Anyone else? Let's network. This is also an opportunity to meet. Okay, I see Ayobami from Canada, Dane from the UK. Fantastic. All right, let's get right into it. But before I start, I want to, talk about the company that is actually bringing this session to you right now. So who are we at Analytics and how exactly do we do what we do? On providing specialized training in technology skills and delivering comprehensive data consulting services. Now we have almost 5 years. We've spent almost the last 5 years, building the talents for the technology workforce. And we have helped over 2,900 people, individuals with no prior experience, transition from the classroom into their very first job in tech across the UK, across US, Canada, Europe, Asia, and of course, Africa. Now, we are committed to making the technology sector more accessible to Blacks, through premium training in data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, agile project management and Scrum Master professional, cybersecurity, and soon to come AI engineering. Now we have a team of wonderful, wonderful instructors from leading global companies like, PwC, McKinsey, Apple, Microsoft. And these instructors bring a wealth of real-world experience and are dedicated to delivering an engaging, practical learning experience that ensures that you receive the maximum value from your investments from us in the future. We also got into the Alberta Catalyzer Velocity Program in October. So throughout the course of this session, my colleague Sofiat will be dropping the attendance form in the chat box. So please make sure to fill it, as that's the way you'll be able to get the recording of this session and also the slides that I'm going to use to walk us through this session, because we have a lot of resources that are linked on this slide that you need to have access to, and you can only get access to them if you fill the attendance form. All right, so you can read more about the Alberta Catalyzer program once you get the slide. Just click on this link to read more. Now, who's this person that has been speaking to you for the past 5 minutes? All right, my name is Elizabeth Nana, and I am a product manager and senior agile project manager here at Analytics, with half a decade of experience in product and project management. I'm a skilled leader and coach for agile teams, consistently driving impactful results. And I've been able to successfully guide over 1,000 individuals with no prior agile experience into making a smooth transition into project management. Like I mentioned earlier, I've trained over 1,000 professionals across 4 continents, and my experience spans across the multiple sectors like healthcare, financial services, and also educational technology. But let's get right into what it is that we have to do today. All right, so first we'll be looking at project managers versus business analysts, all right, the core skills and opportunities for these roles. And then we'll look at your pathway to becoming an agile project manager or a business analyst, as well as the 10 Analytics Growth Internship Program. And finally, our special discount offer to you by virtue of you being on this call with us today. All right. So if you stay, like I mentioned earlier, if you stay with us till the end of the session, you will have access to the slides and the recording of the session. So make sure to fill the attendance form that my colleague drops in the chat box. But just before we jump right into what we have for today, I want to get to also see, if I have OGs on this call. So if this is the first, masterclass session that you are joining, please put a 1. And if it's the second, put 2 or 3, and so on and so forth. So I want to see the people that have joined our master classes before. So put a 1 if this is your first session. Put a 2. Oh, I see 3. Ayobami is an OG. Okay, I see Michael, 1. Jacinta, 1. Benga, 1. Fantastic. Dane says 2. Adi says 3. All right, great. So I can see quite a great turnout. So let's start. Now, when we talk about tech careers, a lot of people think it's only about like the IT industry. Like, okay, if you're in the healthcare industry, you feel like you don't exactly stand a chance. Because when you hear tech, you think it's just, software development. Now, the truth is tech is transforming every single industry. So from healthcare to finance, to retail, to education, technology is the backbone of modern businesses. All right. And tech is booming. That is why a lot of people are running here because of the tech money. All right. So next is the high demand for roles. Now, both project managers and also business analysts are in high demand as companies need skilled professionals to deliver successful projects and drive business growth. Next is the job stability and opportunities, which I will be touching more on as time goes on during this session. Now, the tech sector offers job security, regardless of what we might have heard out there, we have job security when it comes to the tech sector, and it also offers flexible career paths, especially in business analysis and project management. So you can be a project manager in the healthcare sector. You can be a project manager in the financial sector. You can be a business analyst with the NHS. All right. So across different industries, very flexible career paths. And now I want to put it to you that if you have been thinking about joining project management or business analysis for a while now, and you're not exactly sure, how to go about it, the best time to start, the best time to actually break into tech was 5 years ago, and the second best time is right now. All right, so this is your opportunity to start. Now, first off, let's start off with understanding the role of the project manager, right? What does a project manager do? Now, the main focus of project managers is to lead the delivery of projects from start to finish, all right, while ensuring timelines, budgets, and team performance on track. So to make sure that, your project is actually on track, to make sure that you're not behind schedule, right? It is your job as a project manager or an aspiring project manager to lead the team. Now, you might not necessarily be the person, writing the code, depending on the kind of team you join, but you will be at the forefront. You will be the head of your project team. And your key responsibilities include, project planning and execution. You'll be in charge of overseeing the project planning and also, the execution of that project, resource and budget management. Now, it is on you as the project manager to also make sure that you're not overspending on your project, you're not underspending, you're managing and allocating your resources efficiently. Next, we talk about risk identification and mitigation. Now, this is a very important responsibility of a project manager. Risk identification is very, very important when it comes to projects, because you want to make sure that, you identify any potential risks to your project, anything that could potentially derail your project in the future. When we talk about risks are things that are not currently happening, but there's a potential they might happen. You don't know for sure if they will, but you want to have plans in place. You want to have your plan B in place. So in case this thing actually happens, you want to make sure that it doesn't derail your project. That is a key responsibility of a project manager. Then we talk about stakeholder communication and leadership. Now, it is your job as the project manager to communicate with your stakeholders. You're going to be acting as the bridge between the technical stakeholders, that's the developers, the designers, if you have any on your team, and the non-technical stakeholders like the CEO, the project sponsor, and so on and so forth. So getting requirements from the non-technical guys and being able to break it down to the technical guys. You'll also be the person to provide, reports, on the progress of the project to the stakeholders as well. So to the project sponsors to say, hey, this is where we're at currently in the project as well. And finally, last but not the least, ensuring project success through constant monitoring and adjustments. Now, let's also look at the role of the business analyst. All right, so as a business analyst, your job, once again, you will be acting as the middleman between, or the bridge between the technical stakeholders and the non-technical stakeholders. But your job is also to go into organizations to try to optimize their processes, meaning to look at how things are currently working in that organization. Maybe you need to analyze the business data of that organization to make sure that you're making those processes better. So every time you go into an organization, what is it at the top of your mind is, look at how things are working right now. How can I make this better? Not just for the organization, but also for the customers, right? The people that our organization serves. Now, what are your key responsibilities as a business analyst? First, you'll be in charge of gathering and analyzing business requirements. So this is where, stakeholder communication also comes in. Now, as a business analyst, you're also making sure that you're liaising with the customers, right? To actually find out what the pain points are. What is wrong with this process? What would you change as a paying customer? What is it that you don't like about how things are currently working, and how can we make it better for you? And also getting requirements, eliciting requirements from your stakeholders as well, your internal stakeholders, maybe the project sponsor, the CEO, depending on the hierarchy in your organization, right? Gathering and analyzing these business requirements and also documenting them. You're also in charge of designing solutions and processes. So making sure you're optimizing workflows, you're optimizing processes, you're optimizing the way things work generally in that organization. You'll also be in charge of facilitating communication between the stakeholders and the technical team. And you are also in charge of ensuring that solutions align with business goals and deliver value. So you want to make sure that whatever process it is, whatever optimized process that you're proposing to that organization actually aligns with the business goals of that organization. And you can't make sure this happens if you don't personally understand the business goals of that organization. And you want to make sure that whatever process you're introducing also delivers value in some way to the organization and also to the customers that organization serves. Finally, you'll be in charge of creating detailed documentation that will then be passed on to the project team for project execution. All right, so let's just briefly take a look at the core competencies of the project manager and also the business analyst, and then we can see some shared skills in these roles. So as a project manager, a core competency is leadership and team management. You need to have a leadership skill. You need to be able to manage, a team. While as a business analyst, a core competency is requirement gathering and documentation, being able to elicit requirements from your stakeholders, both internal and external, and also documenting those requirements as well. As a project manager, another core skill to have is project management, being able to manage a project overall, being able to be in charge of a team, and also scheduling that project. So you'll be in charge of, organizing the timeline of that project. So if you have 6 months to run a project, for example, you're in charge of creating, a project schedule, a roadmap, or let's just call it, for the sake of this, this presentation, let's say it's a timetable, allocating, the different tasks to different timelines on that roadmap. While as a business analyst, a core skill you need to have is data analysis, all right, and process improvements, being able to understand or at least have basic understanding of data. So if you see the business data of that organization, you're able to make sense of it, and also being able to optimize or improve current processes. Now, another core skill a project manager should have is risk management, while a business analyst should have stakeholder communication skills. Now, stakeholder communication is also something that a project manager should have as well. While a business analyst might need to have some sort of technical understanding, and this is where things like your software development lifecycle comes in. So understanding the technical process. And finally, a core skill for a project manager is financial and resource management, which I explained in the previous slide, while for business analysts, it is business process modeling. Now, what are some of the shared skills between these two roles? We have critical thinking. Whether you're a project manager or a business analyst, you need to be able to think critically, because sometimes you come across certain processes or certain projects that would require you to take a seat, to first take off your glasses, take a seat, drink a bottle of cold water and think, right? Try to come up with a new or optimized process, or try to, unblock that project. So if there are roadblocks in that project, so you need to have the skill of critical thinking. You also need to be a problem solver, because I guarantee you, as a business analyst or as a project manager, you will encounter problems in your project or in the processes that you're working on in that organization. And next, we have adaptability and flexibility, and finally, clear communication. So now, let us move on. You might be wondering, right? Okay, so after getting the skills that I need, whether it's in business analysis or it's in project manager, so what real opportunities are actually out there in the market, in the job market? And the truth is that, opportunities are not just local, they are actually global. They are global opportunities. And very quickly, I'll be showing you how much in demand these roles are in countries like the UK, US, and Canada. And most importantly, the fact that a lot of these employers are even willing to sponsor visas for qualified candidates. So you can see right here on my screen, you just see some snapshots of some listings for the role of a business analyst or also a project manager, right? We currently have over 6,700 roles live right now as I'm speaking to you on LinkedIn, on UK Visa Jobs, and also read.co.uk. Of course, you know that these are not the only job boards we have, but just within this three job boards, we have over 6,700 roles. And that is to tell you how much in high demand these two roles are. And you can also see that, some top companies that are hiring for these roles are companies like Barclays, companies like Deloitte, and also the NHS in the UK. And the salary range is anywhere between £40,000 per annum to £75,000, and even over that per annum. If you can look at my screen, you see for this first listing, the range is between £60,000 to £95,000 per annum. And, it's a remote job as well. Then the next one, the range is between £65,000 to £75,000 per annum. So just bear in mind that, whatever job, whatever role you're going for, be it a business analyst or a project manager, role, you will be able to qualify for, the COS requirements, which is at least 37, thousand pounds per annum. And now remember, once again, I mentioned earlier, but for people that are just joining in, please make sure to fill the attendance form, okay, that my colleague will be dropping, my colleague Sofiat, in the chat box, because it is very important. That is how you're able to get this recorded session and also get the slides, because there are a lot of wonderful resources that I have linked on these slides for us. You can see the codes for these job roles, the code for project managers, code for project support officers, the code for business analysts, and also for consultants as well. And you can also access the list of jobs that are eligible for skilled work visa. All of these have been linked on the slide. So it is very important that you fill the attendance form. Now let's look at the job opportunities in Canada as well. All right. So companies are, actively hiring business analysts and project managers in Canada as well, even willing to sponsor, they're open to sponsor skilled workers under the new immigration pathways. And, Canada is very immigrant friendly, and many companies are also seeking to hire international talent. All right. So right now, as I'm speaking to you, we have over 5,400 roles live on Indeed, and also, built in for Canada. I've also linked, built in here for you to easily access the job board and also take a look at it for yourself. So once you get the slide, you'll be able to go over all of these resources in your own time. Now, the salary range for the role of a business analyst or a project manager in Canada is anywhere between 70,000 Canadian dollars per annum to 110,000 Canadian dollars per annum, and even more. All right. So once again, do not forget to fill the attendance form. Now, having heard, about, the project management career path and also the business analyst career path, I want to hear from you. So, I'm sure a couple of people that joined this session already know which of these ones they want to go for. So are you going for BA or are you going for PM? I want to see it in the chat. So I'm currently looking at the chat right now to see our responses. Are we going for the role of a business analyst? Are we trying to become business analysts, or are we trying to become project managers? Dane says PM. Anthony says BA. We also have Toba. Toba says BA as well. Adedayo says PM, BA. I think we're dragging at this point. We're project managers, and also have some business. So, it looks like business analysts are even winning us. And I see Ayobami saying enrolled for the business analysis program starting by June. Welcome on board. All right, fantastic. All right, so now, let's continue with the session. Now, I'm happy that a lot of us already know what it is, the career path that we're interested in. But all of these wonderful things that I've said, what does this mean for you? All right, what does this mean for you? Now, having been able to identify which of these career paths you want to go for, the first step for you to do is to learn. Register for a course, whether it's agile project management or it's business analysis. You want to learn. And now, everything that you'll be learning in the classroom is only 50%, which I'll be touching base more on, much later during this program. Only 50% of what you need to get a job. Now, the remaining 50% is your packaging, all right? How are you able to package yourself? And that is where your employability skills come in. Things like the CV review and revisions, LinkedIn optimization sessions, mentorship, interview preparatory sessions. We also provide job reference letters and on-the-job support as well. All right. So you also want to, and the next thing you want to do is then to apply, target jobs, maybe jobs with, sponsorship, if that's what you're looking for. Tailor your CV to match the requirements of these jobs and apply. That is how you will be able to get the job. Now, I want to put it to you that there are thousands of global job openings that await skilled business analysts and also project managers, all right? And there are visa sponsorship that is available for qualified candidates as well. The tech industry actually values skills and experience. Experience is very important. And that is exactly what we will help you build here at Analytics. That is where we come in. So whether your goal is to work remotely, or you're trying to relocate internationally, or simply secure a better paying job, right? Business analysis and agile project management skills open doors across the world. It's global. Now, right now we only offer about 8 courses here at Analytics, but our focus mainly for this session is just 2, which is agile project management and business analysis. But how did we even come about, these jobs, right? How did we come across these programs? Why do we only offer these programs? And I'll tell you why. Now, here at Analytics, at our very core, we're very concerned about sustainability. We want to make sure that, people that come into this company, people that take programs, register for programs with us and get tech skills, are not getting skills that, in the next year, it has gone out of style. You're not getting skills that would not be sustainable in the long run. You're not getting skills that by next year or by the end of the year 2025, you are, possibly looking to upskill or get something else because you're not able to get jobs. So we wanted to make sure that there are actually job openings for, these different jobs. And the very first thing we did was, every single year at the end of the year, so once it's, end of 2024, we went on all these different job boards, the premium ones, which we subscribe, the Glassdoor, Library, read.co.uk, Monster as well, all of them, right, to look at the job list UK, the US, and appearing jobs. So what that means is, for example, say we went, hypothetically, we went at the end of 2024, we looked at all of these job boards, and we're able to see that in the year 2024, we had over 50,000 job openings for business analysts and also for project managers across these three different regions. What that tells you is that these people are actually in high demand. They are looking for business analysts and they're also looking for project managers as well. Now, after getting all of this data, when we got all the jobs with the most listings, when we got all the jobs with the most listings, we actually carried our internal data analysis, right? Using these three criteria to, just scrub through these jobs that we've gotten. Now, the very first criteria was ease of learning. So now we've gotten a bunch of jobs, right? We've gotten a bunch of roles. We can see that a lot of roles, like for example, robotics engineering, a lot of roles are actually available. They're actually in high demand across these three regions. But we need to also be able to narrow it down. We cannot offer all the tech courses known to man. So we use the first criterion, ease of learning. How easy is it for you? As an individual, a lot of us here, myself included, we've been out of the classroom for a very long time. All right. We have been out of the classroom for a very long time. So, and a lot of us are juggling. You have your jobs, you have your families, a lot of us are taking care of our kids. So how are you able to juggle and learn a new skill, the skills that are required for job? How easy is it for you to learn? Or now you remember engineering earlier, robotics engineering is also another job or career path that is in demand. All right, very high. Is robotics engineering easy to learn? Is even go into robotics right the first century. You have at least about engineering. It can be more than, but the meat is about months. And now we're at jobs that we can actually learn the skills required for these jobs within 6 months, within months, and we're done. Jobs robotics and the cost based on the first criteria. Now, the criterion is ease of transitioning. So as other fields, maybe you're coming in as a nurse, you're coming in as a midwife, you're coming in as a teacher, for example. What are the skills that you already have in that previous, your prior work experience that would help you transition easily into tech, and not just help you get a job, but actually help you, survive, actually help you thrive in that job? What is the ease of transitioning? And then the final criterion, that's why half of us are here today, tech money. We also needed to check to make sure that these jobs that are in high demand also offer high rewarding salary. And after scraping, analyzing all of the listings that we got from all these different job boards, based on these three different criteria, we were able to come up with the 8 programs that we offer: business analysis, agile project management, and scrum master, and the other 6. All right. So I'm not going to talk about them because that is not why we're here today. We're here for the business analysis program and also for the agile project management program. So stick with me. All right. But we did not stop here because, a lot of times you agree with me that when you do something on your own, for example, when you cook by yourself and you taste your food, it tastes sweet. You call and ask them, okay, can you taste this food and tell me what you think? And the person tells you, oh, it's a little bit salty. So sometimes there is a tendency for us to be biased as human beings, depending on what we do, whatever it is that we do by ourselves, there's a little bit of bias around it. So what we decided to do was we said, okay, let's go out there and seek external validation. All right, let's look for, reputable organizations that have no affiliations with Analytics, job, people that send in job reports to see if what they are saying actually matches with our internal data analysis. And we found the World Economic Forum of Jobs reports. Now, the World Economic Forum, recently released in January 2025, they released the Future of Jobs report for 2025. And this report is available to all of us on the web. All right, just take down the name World Economic Forum. You can Google it on your own and you will have access to the report as well. But for those of us that would be filling the attendance form, you also have these reports linked on the slide as well. So once you get the slide, you'll be able to access all the linked resources. So make sure to fill the attendance form as my colleague Sofiat drops it in the chat box. Now, what does the World Economic Forum say? It says in the next 5 years, meaning by 2030, 170 million jobs will be created, while 92 million jobs will disappear. Now, this is a lot, okay? This is a lot. And it's purporting that in the next 5 years, there will be a high structural labor market churn of about 22%. All right, so if you can see the snapshot of the report on my screen, you can see 3 different colors. You see the red, you see the blue, and then you see the green. All right, so the red jobs are the jobs that will be destroyed, about 170 million jobs, while the blue jobs are the stable jobs. And then the green jobs are the jobs that will be created in the next 5 years. All right, the 170 million jobs that will be created in the next 5 years. So if you find yourself in this red zone, what you want to do is you want to migrate as fast as possible. All right, if you're here, you're safe. But how safe would you be? How do you know, if it's going to continue? But also, ultimately, the goal is to leave the red zone. So whether you find yourself in the blue or in the green. All right. Now, what are the in-demand career paths according to the World Economic Forum? We have project managers here, right here, you can see. And this is not the traditional project management now. We're not talking about the traditional project managers. We're talking about agile project managers, because organizations these days are tilting. They're migrating from traditional project management. Even the ones that are not migrating fully into agile, they're going into the hybrid approach. So basically a blend of agile and then traditional. So you want to also move with the times. Times are moving, the world is evolving, evolve with it so you don't become redundant. Then you can also see management and organization analysts, which is, under business analysis as well. So you can see that the World Economic Forum has basically, validated what we mentioned, what we saw in our internal data analysis. So if you're scared, you've been trying to break into project management or business analysis, and you've been scared that, I've heard AI is coming to take over our jobs. How can we be sure that it is safe? I can now put it to you, backed with data that, at least for the next, by 2030, at least by 2030 minimum, right? These jobs are safe. Agile project management jobs are safe. Business analysis jobs are safe as well. All right, now let's take a look at some success stories. There's something we always like to see here at Analytics. It always seems impossible until it is done. Now, if you joined the session at the very beginning, right before we started the main session, you would have seen a lot of testimonials, playing from our YouTube channel. Now, you can also go on YouTube and search for Analytics, so you can access all of these testimonials, all right? Look at Lois. You want to be like Lois. Lois was an accountant and procurement specialist that had absolutely zero experience in tech. And she joined our business analysis training program. And after she finished the program, she was able to secure a job as a project manager in the UK, after completing the training, leveraging the project management skills that she learned in a business analysis class. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. As usual, once again, make sure you fill the attendance form, because all of these resources are linked on the slide, all right? And you can also head over to our YouTube channel and watch, because we don't even have all the testimonials on this slide. We can literally have a 3-hour session that is dedicated to success stories alone. So I want you to also see what real people are saying about Analytics. Also look at Ngozi. Ngozi had a background in customer service and HR before she joined our business analysis training program. And upon completion of the program, she got a job as a business analyst in the UK, and she works remotely. All right, a lot of us want to work from home. So this is how you do it. You want to be part of. I want to have a lot of us here. Let me check, the chat box to see the people like Dane, for example, people like Toba, people like Saudat. I want to have our pictures on here. I want us to become part of the Analytics success story, as people in the next couple of months, as people that have taken the program and also gone ahead to land jobs as well. So we're just going to breeze through them because quite frankly, we have a lot of success stories. And if we start, we'll not finish here tonight. All right. So you can see the full testimonial link is linked here. So once you get access to the slides, you can go over it in your own time. Now, who is an agile project manager? I know we talked about, the general project management skills earlier in the session, but who is an agile project manager? An agile project manager is someone who we call a servant leader, who leads or helps the team to work effectively within an agile framework, ensuring that the project delivers value to the customer through continuous delivery, adaptation, and improvements. Now, we'll use a little story, a little scenario to explain this further. Now, say you want to build a mobile application, just like WhatsApp, right, to enhance customer engagement. Maybe you have an online business and you're trying to enhance customer engagement and boost your online sales. You want to build a mobile application for messaging, and it's going to be just like, the renowned WhatsApp that everybody uses. Now, if we go the traditional project management route, which is also called the waterfall methodology, it's a sequential process, meaning it's a step-by-step process. You cannot start one phase if you don't finish another phase. So for example, you can't start the design phase if you don't complete the requirements. It's building a house. You cannot start building the structure of the house if you have not laid the foundation. You cannot lay the foundation if you don't actually excavate that land. All right. So that is the waterfall process. There is no mago, for lack of a better word. You can't jump steps. You have to take it one at a time. So if you are going the traditional project management route, you start off with requirements gathering, and you have to gather requirements for every single feature, every single functionality and design that you want to do for that project. All right. Every single thing. You can't do it halfway and say you come back to it later. You have to do every single thing before you can move on to design. And even design, after requirements have been completed, you have to design every single screen, every single page for that application before you can move on to implementation. So if you follow this sort of process, going from requirement design, testing, deployment, and maintenance, is going to take you maybe roughly, hypothetically, 7 months to launch this particular, mobile application that you're trying to build. And, once you launch it, you cannot continuously optimize it. Now, a lot of us here, I want to even see in the chat box, I feel like we've been too quiet. So I want to see a couple of comments. So if you use WhatsApp here, just put an emoji, any emoji of choice. Just put an emoji in the chat box. If you use WhatsApp, because we see a lot of continuous upgrades. You wake up in the morning, you see channels. You wake up in the morning, you see that you can add music to your story update. So I want to see the people that are actually using WhatsApp in the comments section. Just put any emoji, any letter, any number. All right. I see Yetunde. Fantastic. Thank you, Yetunde. So I know I'm not speaking to myself. We have Benga as well. Wonderful. Anyone else? Anyone else uses WhatsApp? Michael? All right, great. So I think, okay, basically everybody on here. So, you'll be able to relate when I say this. Since WhatsApp launched, I think WhatsApp launched about 2014 or 2015, we've seen a lot of upgrades as time went on. When WhatsApp launched initially, we didn't have video calls. I'm not even sure we had voice calls. It was just for messaging. But as time went on, they added, new features. But that would not be possible if they use the traditional project management methodology. And for people that are in Nigeria, or for people that lived in Nigeria at some point in their lives, you'll be familiar with Nairaland. Nairaland is an example of an application that was built using the waterfall methodology. Nairaland is over 10 years old. And if you go on Google right now and search Nairaland, it looks exactly the same. Nothing has changed. All they do on that site is maintenance. And you agree with me, it's outdated. How many people go to Nairaland these days? That is the pitfall of the traditional methodology. But if you use the agile process, right, you go into sprint planning where you actually break down the project into smaller manageable tasks. So if you were going to launch that mobile application with 10 features initially, you can actually break down all of those 10 features into 10 different sprints. And in each sprint, we're working on one feature, one by one. So you don't have to wait until you gather all the requirements for all the features before you can move on to design or before you can move on to implementation. You can gather requirements for one feature, start the design, start implementation, frequent releases. So faster time to market. It's very easy to launch in the market, launch with a couple of features, maybe 2 features. And then, as time goes on, you are making updates just like WhatsApp has been doing. So now for this mobile application, if you go the traditional project management route, you'll be facing 7 months before you can even get your product into the market. But if you go the agile route, you can get it in the market in 1 month and then continuously involve your customers and make frequent updates as time goes on. So you see why a lot of organizations, are moving away from that traditional project management into agile, because of the faster time to market that agile affords us. All right. Now, what are the key learning areas? What are the things you need to know? Every single thing you need to know to become an efficient, agile project manager. Now, here at Analytics, all the courses that we take are completely beginners friendly. So we'll start from the basics with you. Introduction to project management methodologies and structure. All right. So the project management methodologies that we have, what are the project management methodologies? Like the traditional methodology or waterfall methodology, the agile methodology, and also the hybrid methodology. And how are you able to identify? So depending on the sector you find yourself, right? Whether it's the IT sector, construction, finance, whatever sector, healthcare, you're able to see any project you are in charge of, you're able to look at that project and identify what methodology works best for that project. Because the truth is, it's not a one size fits all. I'm sorry to say, a lot of people, and this is a mistake that a lot of people make, they think everything, oh, let's do agile, let's do agile. Agile does not necessarily work for all the projects. Sometimes you need to do hybrid. Sometimes you need to do agile. So you want to be able to identify, okay, looking at this project, what methodology would work best for it? And then also the project management structure. So here we talk about the project life cycle, basically from the project initiation phase, all the documents that you need to have done, the project initiation phase, documents like a feasibility study, your business case, your project charter, definition of scope, goals and objective, moving on to the project planning phase where you're basically planning your budget and your finances, resource allocation, and also the project schedule. Then you move on to the project execution phase, the monitoring and control phase, and finally the project closure phase. So all of these things you'll be learning them in class. Next, we move on to project management skills and communication. So what are some of the skills that you need to have as a project manager? And also, how are you able to tailor your communication to fit the different stakeholders that you're trying to, communicate with? The kind of communication channel that you establish with the different stakeholders are different. All right, the way the communication channel you establish with a project sponsor will be different from the communication channel you establish with a developer on your team, for example. Then next, we move on to foundations of Agile and Scrum. All right, the Agile methodology. What is the Agile methodologies? What are the different frameworks we have under Agile methodologies? And then we now do a deep dive into the two most popular frameworks, being Scrum and Kanban, end to end. So you are made to understand these two frameworks end to end. The two most popular ones that these global organizations are using today, right? You understand the Scrum framework, the Scrum artifact. I'm talking your increments, your sprints, your product backlog. So when you hear things like product backlog, sprint backlog, oh, you're working in sprints, you know what it means. When you get increments, you know what it means. You understand what it means. Then we talk about our Scrum ceremonies, like your sprint planning, your daily stand-up. Don't let me go into too much of that. If you want to learn more, you should register, for a project management course here at Analytics. All right. Then we go into advanced Scrum and Agile practices. All right. Now, this is where, we really shine as project managers and it's also similar to what business analysts do here, but a lot of times we get requirements from the non-technical stakeholders. It could be, in our case, for project managers, it could be from a business analyst, right? When the business analyst gives you requirements, or it could be, from a project sponsor. Now, it's in English. The requirement is in English, fine and good, but it's not necessarily, it's almost as if the technical guys cannot understand that language. You need to break it down into a language that they understand. You need to break down those requirements you've gotten from the non-technical stakeholders to the technical guys, break it down into actionable tasks that they can start working on. So you don't just go to them and say, want to build a mobile application, right? You need to break it down into tasks. And how do you do that? By writing effective, agile user stories. This is how you're able to break down requirements into user stories, into tasks, into child issues that you can then track on Jira or Trello. All right. Next, we move on to end-to-end use of Jira and Confluence for projects. So Jira and Trello are, project management tools for task tracking. So when you're using Jira and Trello, you can assign tasks to your team members, and also track the progress. So you're able to see what you have in your backlog, the tasks that are currently in to do, the tasks that have been done, the tasks that are in progress, etc. And then when it comes to Confluence, now Confluence you can serve as the singular source of truth for your your project, whatever project it is that you're working on at that time, right? So if you have your project charter, your BRD, maybe you've gotten a business requirement document from the business analyst, or a product requirement document from the product manager on that project, you can have it stored on Confluence. So every single person has access to it. Now, this is especially useful if you're managing a distributed team. So maybe there's some people in Canada, there's some people in the UK, there's some people in the US in your team, all right, different time zones. So if anybody needs any information, they need something from the BRG. They don't need to wait for maybe Michael. Michael is in the UK and Michael's time zone is different. Michael is currently asleep, but I need this. I have to wait for Michael to wake up and give this to me. Everything is stored on Confluence, so everybody can easily go there to get what they need. Next, we look at Kanban boards for workflow management. So I explained earlier that we'll do a deep dive into Scrum and Kanban end to end. So after treating Scrum, we go right into Kanban. And then we look at agile metrics and reporting. So the metrics that you use to actually track the health of your project, to make sure that your project is actually going well, to know if you're ahead of schedule, if you're behind schedule, if you're on track, and what are the corrective actions that you need to make. I'm talking metrics like, your velocity, for example, your lead time, your cycle time, your burn up chart, your burn down chart. These are metrics that you can use to track maybe the productivity of your team, to actually see if, we are working well in the team or anybody's slacking, if we're slacking in the team, and corrective actions that can be taken. And then when we talk about reporting. All right. Now, just the way we do with communication, when you tailor your communications, to fit your different stakeholders, you also have to be able to do the exact same thing when it comes to reporting, right? Being able to identify the type of reports to send to different stakeholders, the kind of metrics that the different stakeholders, are interested in. Now, all of these metrics that you have, your agile metrics, when we talk about data, we say data never lies. Your agile metrics are on Jira. You can get them on Jira and it will be generated according to how team members have been. You want to know when you're providing a report to a stakeholder, you want to be able to know the kind of metrics that stakeholder cares about. For example, a project sponsor does not care about the velocity of the team. A project sponsor would rather want to see the burn-up charts of that project, while a team lead might want to see the velocity. So, being able to tailor your reporting to the different stakeholders. And then we talk about leadership and reward applications. So leadership and management are two very different things. They are often confused, but they are different. All right. And we are able to merge both of them. You're learning both of them individually and how you can join both of them together to become an effective agile project manager. And when we say real world application, every single thing I've been talking about today, from introduction to project management methodologies, you're not coming into the classroom to learn theory, right? We're able to marry the theoretical aspect with the practical aspect. So from your very first live class with us, you're working on projects. You're looking at case studies, real life case studies, all right? So you're able to practicalize everything that you're learning. You have that real world application. And finally, if you're someone that is looking to, much later in your career, take professional examinations like Prince 2, PMP, PSM, CAPM, CSM, and so on and so forth, this program actually helps to equip you for that. All right. So for our live classes, for our learning structure, we actually have a hybrid learning structure, and this cuts across, also the business analysis program as well. We have the live classes, which happens 2 Saturdays out of 4 Saturdays in a month. You have a live session such as this one on Google Meet, where you have your facilitator speaking to you, just like I am speaking to you, most likely me in the class, right? You can see the face of your facilitator. The person is sharing his or her screen, walking you through these case studies and these projects. You're able to collaborate. You're able to raise up your hand and ask questions in that class. Now, this happens, like I mentioned, twice in a month, and we have two different timelines for it. So we have the morning class and the evening class, and you're able to pick which one best suits your schedule. So if it's the morning class, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, which is very appropriate for people that are joining us from, the UK, Africa, or Europe, and also the evening class, which is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time, for people that are joining from the US or Canada. And next, we have the self-paced learning using what we call watch me do it videos. So when you don't have live classes, you actually have videos made available to you on your LMS, the learning management system, which will be added to once you register for a program, and you have lifetime access to it. In fact, we have lifetime access to us here at Analytics. All right. So you're able to watch these videos. You're seeing case studies as they're being worked on. You're able to replicate these things. And if you have any questions, you write your questions down and bring it to a weekly session we have, which is called a drop-in session. Now, a drop-in session is a live session, but it's not a class. It's more like, you come in to ask questions. So if you've been watching videos, or maybe you were studying, you came across certain things you don't understand, you can bring that question to class. Maybe you have even been trying to work around Jira or Trello and you're hitting a roadblock. All right. You can come to class and even share your screen and show your facilitator where you're struggling. All right. And the facilitator provides guidance to you. So for every single live session we have, whether it's Saturday live classes or weekly drop-in sessions, they are recorded. So if for any reason you miss any class, right, maybe due to emergencies or work, even though we encourage that, at least try to find time to join these live sessions, because you agree with me that the interaction is different there. Unlike this session, you're able to raise up your hand, unmute your mic and ask questions, and things like that. But if for any reason an emergency comes up and you miss a class, you have the recording to watch and you have lifetime access to that. So the learning timeline for all our programs, both for project management and also for business analysis, is 8 months. So you'll be spending 6 months learning in class with us. And after that, you'll be moved into our partner company, a company that is registered in the UK called Amdari, which is a company in the consulting space. And because they're in the consulting space, they have a lot of projects that they're working on. And once you're moved into their company for internship, you also have access to those projects that you can work on and also add to your portfolio as well. All right. So some of the different careers that you can start upon completion of this program are agile project manager, technical scrum master, and also lean project manager. But let's take a look at business analysis for the business analyst in the house, the BAs in the house. All right, who is a business analyst? A business analyst, like I mentioned earlier, is a professional who analyzes an organization's business processes, their business data, systems, and stakeholders to identify improvements and solutions to business challenges. So as usual, let's look at a little, example to help us understand better. So say, you maybe Dane or Toba or Michael on this call, you actually run a business. You sell handmade bags, and customers have been complaining of delayed deliveries and even incorrect orders. Now, the current state, the way things used to work before was, if a customer wants to make an order, they actually call you to place the order. They call you on the phone. And then when they call the company, the staff that is manning the phone actually picks up the phone, listens to, that customer and manually writes down the order. So they have a pen and paper ready, and they're taking down the order. Okay, you want a red bag, you want a blue bag. They're writing it down. And then they also have a notebook where they have their inventory stored. So the staff also has to scroll, scan through this notebook to check if the item is available. So they won't even know if that item is available unless they go through the notebook. And then after the staff has gone through the notebook, the staff proceeds to print the order details. And after printing the order details, the staff then goes to the store or to the warehouse to check if the item is available. All right. And after checking, you go to the store, you find out, okay, the item is available, you pick up the item. Then the staff prepares shipping labels. All right, you print you print the delivery location, all of the delivery information, you label it on the package. Then the staff calls the courier to come and pick up the item. The courier picks up the item and drops it off with the customer. Now, this entire long, tiring process I just explained. All right. But as a business analyst, you come into this organization, you look at this current process, and you're like, we can do better. So you start to work on mapping out the processes. You map out the current process, and then you map out the optimized or future process. Now, the future process that you map out, for example, is that you say, okay, I think we can actually build a website, all right, so that the customers can place their orders online. All right. So customer orders online, that's the first step. And then there is an order management system on that website that receives the order. And all you do is you get an email on your phone. You get an email, you get an inbox, right? And then it also automatically updates the inventory. Now, for some of us that shop online, like AliExpress, Temu, Amazon, and so on and so forth. When you're shopping, you see things like 9 in stock or 17 items left. And then when you place an order, you see the number immediately go down to 16 items. That is, management system taking, right? It's not involve a staff through a notebook, looking through 1,000 pages to find out if an item is available. The order management system simply updates the inventory. And then the order details is also automatically generated because you get it in your email and you just have to print it. So it generates the shipping labels as well. And all you have to do is send a staff to the warehouse to pick up the item and, schedule pick up with couriers. And then the courier comes, picks up the item and drops it off with the customer. And this new process takes 5 hours. Now you can see how, you have been able to, as a business analyst, you've been able to optimize the process from it taking 3 days to taking 5 hours, because you see that your competitors are probably doing the same thing that you're doing, and their customers are receiving their orders in 1 day or in less than 1 day. And you see that your customers are moving from your business to the business of that competitor. But when a business analyst comes in and they look at the current process and they're able to optimize it and make it better for you as an organization and also for the customers of that organization, you see an increase in sales. You see an increase in business. Now, what are the things that you will be learning? What do you need to know as a business analyst? All right. So we start off with process mapping. Like I mentioned earlier, you map out processes. That is the core. Your core role as a business analyst, mapping out processes, the current process and the optimized process. And you do that using tools like Lucidchart and Draw.io. But then we have also realized that, these global recruiters want business analysts that understand data. They're able to analyze the business data of that organization, at least surface level. And so what we did was we also went into the data analytics program and we borrowed the data tools. So the data tools being Excel, Power BI, and SQL. Like I mentioned earlier, every single thing we do, any tool you hear come out from my mouth, we teach it from the basics. So from zero to hero, from beginner to professional. So you don't have to worry about not having prior experience or not having prior knowledge of this tool. All you need to know how to do is how to turn on your laptop and log in for class. All right. So we'll look at Excel, how you can use Excel to clean and analyze data, how you can use Power BI to visualize your data, and how you can use SQL, which is the language of data, to communicate with the database, to get insights from your data, to query your data if you need to. And then we didn't stop there. So sometimes, when you propose a new process in an organization, it gives birth to a project. If you remember when we're looking at the example for a business analyst, you say the business analyst actually proposed that we build a website so that customers can order from the website. Now that website is a project. And sometimes when you propose a solution like that in an organization, if they don't have a project manager on ground, you might need to step in, to initiate and actually plan that project. So we also went into Agile Projects Management and we borrowed these 2 courses, numbers 3 and 4, project initiation planning and also Agile and Scrum for projects. So let me see if I can annotate on this screen so you can also follow me. Agile and Scrum for project and also project initiation planning. So we'll teach you how to initiate projects, how to plan for projects, right? And then the agile methodologies. As a business analyst, you're also learning agile methodologies and you're learning the Scrum framework for projects. But the truth is, you will not be learning this as in-depth as a project manager would learn it, but you are able to use the knowledge that you gain from this to work as a project manager after completing this program. And then from numbers 5 to 9 are your core business and software development cycle, which will give you technical understanding, requirements, fundamentals, elicitation techniques. So how to elicit, requirements from your stakeholders, then stakeholder analysis and engagement, and finally, because of the you also chat how can business analyst. So Sophia, please confirm that you can still hear me loud and clear.
Yes, Elizabeth, you're very loud and clear.
Thank you. So I want to also look in the chat to make sure I've not lost people. I want to make sure people are not falling asleep. Let's see. I want us to, so if we're still here right now, and if we're filled the attendance form, I want to see, an emoji in the chat, a letter or a number. I want to know that you're following. Dane says, hi. Hi, Zane. Thank you so much, Dane. So who else is still here with me? Am I making sense? Are people confused? Response as thank you, so that people are actually listening to me. All right. So the tools you'll be learning as a business analyst are Excel, SQL, Power BI, Lucy Charts, Draw.io, Jira Software, Confluence, Trello, and Azure DevOps. Now, what this means for you is that once you complete this program as a business analyst, you're actually able to work in 3 different industries or 3 different career paths, right? Because the business analysis program is actually 3 in 1. So you have, tools that we borrowed from the data analysts, right? The data tools, Excel, Power BI, and SQL. Then you also have borrowed courses from project management as well. So you are able to work as a BA, right? You're able to work as a business analyst. You are able to work in some roles, some being the operative word, as a data analyst, because you already have that basic understanding of data tools. And you're also able to work as a project manager. All right. So if you listened when I was talking about Lois earlier, someone like Lois, and we have a lot of participants just like Lois that have completed the business analysis program and then gone on to work as project managers as well. So you'll be learning these borrowed courses pretty surface level, but it will be enough for you to make a career out of them if you choose to. All right, so now let's move on. I'm just going to erase these annotations. I'm glad to see that we actually have people, following the sound of my voice right now. All right. So just like I mentioned or explained, when I was talking about project management, the learning structure, the Saturday live classes, drop-in sessions, and the self-paced videos remain the same. The learning timeline is also the same, 8 months. So you have 6 months in class and 2 months of internship. Now, the different career pathways that you can start upon completion of this program is career pathways like careers like process automation analyst, business process analyst, business architect, business systems analyst, process improvement analyst, IT business analyst, a lot of them actually. The list goes on and on and on. So, when you're learning all of these careers, you're learning from these programs, you're not boxed into just the name of that program or business analyst. I can only work as a business analyst. The truth is, a lot of these organizations play around with the nomenclature. So you can actually apply, you can work for any organization, under these different job titles as well. All right. Now, all our programs, both Agile Project Management and Business Analysis, come with internship to make your CV and your portfolio stand out. All right. So again, if you have fields that attendance form, access to be able to, and this is a portfolio that, it serves as your showroom. It's like, when you go to buy a car, you go to a showroom, you're able to see different cars, to see the kind of cars they have in that car dealer. So it's your showroom. Your portfolio is your showroom as a business analyst or as a project manager. So you're able to show recruiters that these are the projects I've worked on. And how do you build this portfolio? Through the projects that you work on in class and also during your internship as well. So now at 10 Analytics, we have something we call the job offer formula, T plus E, all right? Technical skills plus employability skills. Now, we believe that you see all of those wonderful, fun stuff I mentioned, Jira, Lucidchart, Draw.io, Trello, Confluence, it's only 50% of what you'll be learning. It's only 50% of what will get you a job. And that's us being very honest with you, all right? That's only 50%. Because the truth is, they're managers. There are a lot of business analysts. So how do you stand out? All right. You can use Jira. Okay, fine. There are also other people that can use, okay, fantastic. There are other people that can map out processes. So how do you stand out? How do you strategically position yourself to get jobs? And that is where employability skills come in, which is the other 50% of the equation. Now, what are your employability skills? Here at Analytics, we also have employability services that we provide. The very first one is the CV review and revamp session. All right. We help you review and revamp your CV. And then we don't just give you fish to eat. We also teach you how to fish, right? By also showing you how to tailor your CV to fit multiple job roles. Because the truth is, a lot of us on this call, we are guilty of this. We apply to multiple jobs with one CV. And that's why every time we get what we call love letters, I call it love letters, we're sorry to inform you. Because a lot of times these organizations use ATS, applicant tracking system, which is basically AI. All right. So how are you able to sneak past that AI to actually get to where a recruiter would take a look at your CV? All right. Because a lot of times we apply and it doesn't even get the AI from the gate. The AI says, go back. All right. So how are you able to tailor your CV to fit the requirements of these multiple jobs that you're applying for? Now, the next session is the LinkedIn optimization session. Now, this is where we train you because your social presence is very, very important. Your online presence is very important. Last month during International Women's Month, I was listening to a woman in tech, for lack of a woman in tech, a renowned woman in tech speak. And the question she asks is, when they type your name on Google, if I go online and I type Michael Eboye on Google, or I type Dane on Google, what comes up? What do you see? All right. And this is where strategic positioning comes in, being able to strategically position yourself on LinkedIn to look like an expert in your field. So whether you're a business analyst or a project manager. So when recruiters want to hire, right, and they go on LinkedIn and they search, for example, they search for business analysts in Manchester or project managers in Liverpool, your profile is among the profiles that pop up. And when they open the profile and they go through your work experience, they're able to see something that calls them, something that they like. So you're not the only one and the headhunting you as well. The next is navigating the job market. So this is where we bring alumni that have graduated from 10 Analytics and gotten jobs, right? They come back to the classroom to speak to you, to let you know what they did, techniques that worked for them, and how you can incorporate it, mistakes they made so you can avoid them, so you don't make the same mistakes. And we also bring established voices in the industry. So maybe we bring a business analyst with the 10 years of experience to come to the classroom and speak to you and tell you, things that you need, do's and don'ts, basically, when it comes to navigating the job market, regardless of the region that you're going into, whether you're in, the UK, you're in the US, or you are in Canada. All right. Next, we have interview preparatory sessions. So when you send in your CV, you apply for jobs, and you get a call back for interviews, right? You have that, you have that jitters, you're nervous. You can actually book a one-on-one interview session, just to prep you, whether it's with myself or a professional here at Analytics. And we conduct a mock interview or an interview simulation with you and also give you tips, tell you things that you need to prepare for, the kind of questions you are likely to be asked so you can prep for them. So your confidence is boosted when you're walking into these interviews. Next is job reference letters. So a lot of these huge organizations, even after you have scaled through their multiple, interview stages, they ask you for a recommendation letter. And that is where you can also cite 10 as a previous employer, and we would provide a reference letter or a recommendation letter for you. Next, we offer on-the-job support. Now, this is not a very familiar or very popular service that we offer, but it's still on the table because after 8 months with us, a lot of our participants, they don't need on-the-job support. In fact, a lot of them get jobs before they even complete the program. 3 months into the program, they're getting jobs. 4 months into the program, they're getting jobs. They don't need on-the-job support. But for up to 1 month after you get a job, if you're working on that job, you're still trying to find your feet, and you come across certain tasks that you don't know how to go about, you can actually come back to us here at Analytics. Like I said, you have lifetime access to us. You can come back to us, schedule a one-on-one session with us, and we will help to provide guidance. That we will not perform that task for you, but we'll help to provide guidance on how you can go about that task on your job. Next is the weekly mentorship session. So every single week, you have mentorship sessions, and you agree with me, mentorship, especially when you're trying to break into tech as a beginner, mentorship is very important. You need somebody that will hold your hand and say, put your feet here, put your right feet here, put your left feet here. All right. So here we have we have a plethora of topics, a wide range of topics. Sometimes we have frameworks, to answer interview questions, like the sit and start approach, so that you're able to leave a mark in the mind of your interviewer or your recruiter when you go for interviews. Sometimes we also bring recruiters from global organizations to come into the classroom and let you know what they look out for when they're looking at CVs, what they look out for when they are interviewing candidates, so that you can have all of these tips in your back pocket for when you are also going into the market. And last but not the least, Upwork optimization session. So the exact same thing we do on LinkedIn, we do for you on Upwork as well. Now, we don't just stop at these employability services. Every single week, by virtue of you being a 10 Analytics participant, all right, we pay for a lot of premium job boards that you have to subscribe to every month, and we pay for it so you don't have to pay for it. Now, when we're searching for jobs, it goes way beyond LinkedIn, it goes way beyond Indeed. There are a lot of job boards that you have to pay for, like UK job boards, for example, and we've paid for them. So we go on these different job boards and we scrape job listings every week. You can see this is a sheet from one of our Google Classrooms for project management. All right. You can see job offers for 27th of April, 2025. So this was just updated about 3 days ago. And you're able to see a full list of, the different jobs. You see job title, the company, the job location, if they are offering sponsorship, and also the link to the job, so you can go and apply to them. So you're not the only one going out there searching for jobs. We are also hunting for jobs for you, gathering it together and updating it every single week, sending it to you so that you can also apply to these jobs as well. All right, now we have a lot of success stories. Like I mentioned earlier, once you get the slide, once you fill the attendance form, you'll be able to take a look at all of these success stories from people. You can see all of them, they're linked here. They are videos that you can actually click on to watch, to see what people are saying about the program. Now, if you've listened to me up until this point, I have a special offer for you. So our next cohort starts on the 10th of May, 2025. All right. So next month, we have a new cohort starting for both project management and also business analysis. All right. And we have an early birds discount running. So for the first 20 people to register for, whether it's business analysis or project management, you get 20% off. You get $150 off. So instead of $900, which is the actual price of the program, you get to pay $750 instead. All right. Once again, once you get the slide, you can click on this link, and this link will take you directly to the 10 Analytics Enrollment Center. All right, so this is where the link takes you to. And then you're able to just scroll down, once you get here, what you want to do, you scroll down, you see the full training calendar. So you're able to see when our classes start. All right. And then you're able to choose the program you want to go for. So whether it's agile project management or business analysis. So once you click on, for example, you click on register for business analysis, it opens up this payment plan for you. And we also have a geolocation feature added on our site. So wherever you're clicking the link from, if you're here in the UK, you get to pay in pounds. If you're in the US, you pay in USD. You'll be able to pay in your local currency. All right, you can select currency selector here and decide to, if you are looking for, maybe you want to pay in Naira, you can select, search the currency that you're trying to pay in as well. All right, so you can pay in AUD, you can pay in Canadian dollars, US dollars, pounds, whatever local currency you use. So you don't have to worry about, converting. And like this is 20 people, and you see right here on my, it says 12 seats left. So what that means is 8 people have made payments using this discount. 8 people have been able to pay 750 US dollars. And this discount is not time-based. So I can't tell you for a fact that, the discount is going to be ending on the 9th of May. All I can tell you is it is slot-based, meaning if we have on this session right now, we have about 24 people. If 12 people register for the business analysis program right now, the discount is over. All right, it's first come, first serve. And then other people will have to pay the full price of 900 US dollars. And you're also able to pay in installments. All right, so you can secure your spot for as low as 123 pounds, and you pay that every month. So while you're taking the training, we are also making payments just to make allowances. We understand that it's not everybody, it's not easy to just drop 575 pounds at once. So you're able to split your payments if you want to pay once, if you want to pay twice, if you want to pay 3 times, 4 times, or 5 times. And what you want to do is, for the sake of this presentation, let's select a payment plan. Let's select 5 months. So once you select 5 months, you click on secure your seat. It's just going to show you that you have 123 pounds due today. You have 123 pounds due exactly 1 month from now. You have 123 pounds due exactly 2 months from now, and so on and so forth till you complete your payment. And once you click on proceed, right, you get to fill in your card details and make payments. And once you make payments, it's very important that you take a screenshot of your receipt and come back to the main site here and click on upload your receipt. Now, this is very important. So we are able to track where that payment came from. And once you upload your receipt, you get an email from us, and a rep from 10 Analytics would reach out to you to go about making sure you get into class. So I want to encourage everyone on this call. We have 24 people. So if we have 12 people going for business analysis, 12 people going for project management, try to secure your spot as soon as possible before the next class starts in May. All right. And you also have the option of deferring. So if you don't want to start in May, you want to start in June, you can actually secure your spot. So what that means is, even if you start in June or in July, when the discount has ended, and maybe the price has even changed, because we know how the economy is right now with everything Trump is doing. If the price changes to 1,000 US dollars, for example, it doesn't concern you in any way, because you secured your spots using the discounted price. All right. So I will, we have actually, come to the end of this presentation. I'm going to just be looking in the comments to see questions that you may have for me. I'll take a couple of questions before we call it a day, because I don't want to keep you on this call for longer than you have to be. All right. So I want to look in the chats. Let's see. Do we have any questions? Would you like me to take? It says, how much is 3 times payment for PM? So that's Benga. Benga, all you need to do is click on the link that my colleague Oluwafumike just shared in the chat. I'll also take a look at what that looks like for you as well. So for project management, let's scroll. This is project management. So once you click on register for APSM, it opens up the payments plan. So if you want to pay 3 installments, depending on the currency, like I mentioned earlier, let's use pounds, because I don't know where you're joining us from. So if it's pounds, if you want to pay 3 monthly installments, that would be 205 pounds. All right. So that means you pay 205 pounds every month for 3 months until you complete your payments. Okay. That is what it means. All right. So benefit from this tech training. And if yes, what section will that be? So that's fantastic. So if you're a nurse, you're looking to benefit from this, you can, like I mentioned earlier, it can be project management, it can be business analysis as well, because you can do both of the care sector. Alman says, as a lawyer, which tech skill can I explore? As a lawyer, I would recommend the business analysis program for you, because law is correct, and you're going to be able to speak, communicate with your stakeholders, and just if you need to get requirements, elicit requirements, my lord, my counsel, you know how to argue. So it will be wonderful. That's a wonderful, wonderful skill that will come in handy when you are a business analyst. All right, so let's look in the chat. Let's see if we have more questions. So just before we jump off, we are at the end of the session. All right, so make sure before we end the session, you have been able to fill the attendance form. All right, and also my colleague Oluwafumike just dropped the link to the discount as well. You want to be part of the first 20 people to get the discount. All right, just click on that link or copy the link, put it on your WhatsApp chat, put it in your notepad. All right, so that you don't miss out on this. And if possible, try to secure your spots tonight. All right, Arman says, please resend the attendance link. I'm sure my colleague will send in a. All right, so for everyone on this call, thank you so much for listening to me speak for about 1 hour, 19 minutes. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the May cohort or the June cohort. So try to secure your spots using the discounted price. And if you have other questions, because I can't take all the questions on here, just speak to a professional. You can come in to our clarity sessions that happen every single day. We have one happening 9 a.m. West African time. We have another one happening 12 p.m. Watts, and another one happening 8 p.m. Watts as well. Also 12 a.m. Watts. All right, so join any of these sessions if you need to speak to a professional, if you have more questions that you would like for the team to attend to. But you can go ahead to make payments and then opt to speak for a professional just to know which one you fall under, whether it's product management or it's business analysis. Because the good thing is once you secure your spot, you can actually change your mind. If you pay for business analysis, you can reach out to us and say, hey, after speaking to a professional, I want to go for project management instead, and we can switch you. But the main thing is to make sure that you secure your spot. So be part of those 12 people that would be getting the discounted price. So thank you everyone for listening to me. And bye for now. I will see you in the next masterclass. Hopefully I don't see you. I see you in class. All right. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.